Awaken your shadow. The truth sets some people free. It offends everyone else. By Seth, the Red Neo, Cherupak.
Chapter 5 Part 3 Awakening Your Divine Guardian.
Your divine guardian is the highest expression of your secure self. It's the embodiment of the internal rhythm that makes you feel at home and at peace with the ebb and flow of nature's external rhythms. It empowers you to expand and to contract, not in shame, guilt, or fear, but in alignment with the divine principle of rhythm. Your divine guardian creates peace simply by its presence, moving in harmony with the principle of rhythm and honoring the soul's internal cycles of expansion and rest. The natural flow that governs your relationship with the energy of money. It forces nothing. It emanates identity through internal coherence by being, not by striving to be enough. This emanation becomes possible only when internal chaos gives way to coherence, and your energy flows in a grounded, rhythmic pulse. This is the fruit of spiritual containment. This is nervous system sovereignty through attunement with divine rhythm, guarded by sacred boundaries, and alive with rooted presence. Here's what this looks like in your everyday life. You feel your breath move all the way down into your belly when you open your eyes. Your body registers, "I'm here," before your mind starts listing tasks. When you think about money, your system stays spacious. Your throat stays open, your chest stays soft, your stomach stays settled enough to remain present. You experience a steady inner pulse. Focus rises, focus fades, rest returns like a tide you can feel and trust. When a bill, a text, or an unexpected expense appears, you feel a clear sequence inside, a quick wave of sensation, a breath, and a stable center reappears. You hear your own yes and no as bodily signals, warmth and openness for yes, firmness and stillness for no, and you stay with that signal without needing a story to justify it. In conversation, your words come out slower and cleaner because your nervous system stays in rhythm. You feel your feet, you feel your spine, you feel the boundary of your skin. Even when the day gets loud, an inner room stays quiet and inhabited. That inner room is the divine guardian, the part of you that holds rhythm, holds space, and keeps you at home in yourself. Before this grounded activation can take root, something must be removed, not through willpower or exorcism, but through energetic starvation and substitution. That something is mammon. Mammon is more than the old world personification of greed. It is the energetic distortion that arises when the rhythm of trust is disrupted by the chaos of fear. It intrudes your internal and external world when the principle of rhythm is mismanaged by the dark masculine or feminine energies discussed above, disrupting both your financial and energetic coherence. Mammon possesses the psyche when effort replaces attunement and control is substituted for coherent presence. It hijacks your internal rhythm, sucking you into the energetic whirlpool that whips you between the overexertive will of the dark masculine and the collapse of the dark feminine. Mammon operates as a dysregulated pattern to be fasted, like a chaotic drumbeat disrupting the rhythm of an otherwise harmonized orchestra. Its rhythm is jagged, incompatible with the grounded coherence and somatic authorship of the secure self. The insecure self, shaped by trauma, scarcity, and fragmentation, does not attract mammon out of evil. It attracts mammon as a side effect of its safety strategy. When you were young and uncertain, you learned that effort earned love, that perfection delayed punishment, that control offered a brief illusion of security. These were symptoms of the desperate adaptation to survival cycles. Mammon preys on the insecure self by promising safety and security, but for every bit that it gives with one hand, it takes away twice as much with the other. This is where the ritual of shadow work begins its sacred role, transmuting the insecure self into the divine guardian through the activation and development of the secure self. When fragmented, masculine and feminine energies distort into polarity, the dark feminine seeks safety by appeasing and disappearing, mistaking collapse for peace and disrupting emotional rhythm. The dark masculine seeks control through domination and overwork, mistaking tension for strength and disrupting spatial containment. When aligned, they form the architecture of the secure self. The divine feminine sustains emotional regulation, intuitive consent, and containment, attuning the body to coherent space. The divine masculine provides discernment, boundary defense, and timing, anchoring the nervous system in stable rhythm. When these distortions are addressed, strength becomes sustainable. Just ask any dancer, martial artist, or elite athlete. When power aligns with structural integrity and rhythm, it remains coherent and effective. An integrated fighter can outmaneuver a stronger opponent because their energy moves from aligned form and rhythmic coherence. Similarly, when spiritual or emotional rhythm is preserved, the secure self maintains its ability to pace life and hold space with presence. Rhythm sustains coherence, and coherence sustains strength. This is the purpose of the shadow work ritual you're about to encounter. A step-by-step somatic practice to transform the insecure self's fragmented rhythm into the secure self's stable coherence. Each step is a return to breath, to containment, to rhythm, where authorship replaces adaptation, coherence replaces fragmentation, and secure self-identity replaces panic. The same holds true in your spiritual, relational, and entrepreneurial life. Disproportionate internal feminine energy leads to fog, freeze, appeasement, and performative harmony. Disproportionate internal masculine energy results in burnout, compulsive control, and obsessive execution. True power attunes. It neither dominates nor defers. Jesus modeled this groundedness while in the wilderness, Matthew 4:1-4. When he was tempted to turn stones into bread, he had to resist more than hunger. He was defending his identity script, the deep somatically anchored narrative of who he was, by maintaining his spiritual rhythm against the compulsion to perform for validation. He upheld his nervous system's sacred rhythm over external demand. He modeled what this book calls neurobiological coherence, the alignment of breath, belief, and behavior that forms and protects authentic identity. The whisper was clear, "If you are the Son of God, prove it." But Jesus refused the transaction. He honored his spiritual rhythm and preserved spatial and energetic sovereignty. He answered, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." He fasted from fear. He moved from sovereign presence. Jesus was just as at home in the wilderness as he was in the synagogue, marketplace, or temple, not because of the setting, but because of the internal rhythm he carried. His spiritual authorship was expressed through his ability to remain coherent and grounded, regardless of external conditions, a living embodiment of the principle of rhythm. He was grounded, not because he was physically safe, satisfied, or comfortable. Jesus emanated coherence wherever he set foot, making every space a sanctuary through internal containment and embodied sovereignty. This theme deepens in Matthew 12:43, where Jesus says, "When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it passes through dry places seeking rest but finds none." Dry places in Hebrew tradition represented zones of chaos, wilderness, and divine absence, spaces devoid of spiritual coherence. To the early Christian mystics, especially the Desert Fathers, these dry places were not just trials, but vacuums, uninhabitable energy fields lacking divine rhythm. Unclean spirits rest only in dysregulated nervous systems when we're dominated by the thoughts and the feelings of shame, guilt, fear, and greed. This is where ancient wisdom meets modern science: containment, the capacity to remain emotionally regulated amidst uncertainty. Coherence, your ability to maintain a balanced internal signal in your nervous system, one that makes space for your secure self to show up, even when your environment is full of uncertainty. These terms illuminate a truth illustrated in Scripture, that you are a temple, a sanctuary of coherence and authorship. You were designed to house a secure self anchored in spiritual containment and internal rhythm, and temples must be consecrated before they can become inhabitable. When your nervous system is restored and stabilized, Mammon loses his space in your life and his access to the insecure energy upon which he feeds. Because it has nowhere left to dwell, the secure self becomes uninhabitable to chaos. Your divine guardian is the stabilizing signal of coherence and authorship, steady, luminous, sovereign. To exercise Mammon is to withdraw care from the chaos he feeds on, to cut the energetic fuel line of panic and performance. It is to reclaim your internal tempo, restoring the rhythm your secure self depends on to feel steady and sane. It is to take up space from the inside out, anchoring presence in truth rather than reacting to threat, because what you feed grows, what you starve dies. This starvation must be replaced by food, thoughts, beliefs, and actions that promote stability. Otherwise, the same hunger that attracted Mammon will make it harder to resist him when he returns. This is where most self-help and spiritual programs go wrong. Somatic axiology finishes the job left undone by such programs. Then the starvation of Mammon becomes strategic and transformational. When you stop feeding your panic, when you stop organizing your life around survival scripts, when you stop outsourcing your stability to performance, you stop hosting Mammon. When you silence these sources of mental and emotional noise, then you begin to hear the voice of your divine guardian, the voice that establishes internal rhythm and reclaims safety. This is how coherence begins. It embodies rhythm, the sacred pulse that says, "The universe is my home. I belong here. I will not be made to feel like an outcast, even if I'm not welcomed, accepted, or even seen in this physical space." This is the foundation of authentic healing, inner peace, and prosperity. We'll achieve this through a 7-step somatic axiology ritual that's rooted in ancient wisdom and supported by modern science. New subheader: Ritual of the Divine Guardian. Your divine guardian creates peace and prosperity by aligning your mind, nervous system, value intelligence, and your career and financial life with the principle of rhythm. This rhythm expresses itself through your words, your presence, and your actions. When life contracts, your divine guardian expands, treating lean seasons not as threats, but as invitations to plant what others withhold. When life expands, it contracts and focuses its energy, recognizing the season of abundance as preparation time for the next season of sowing. As you master this rhythm, your external world begins to align itself accordingly. This is how your divine guardian attracts external security and prosperity, not by striving to change external things, but by cultivating internal coherence. This is how you remain present and consistent while those around you live either in panic and chaos, or in overconfidence and premature expansion. Most people live in direct polarity to this divine law. When life contracts, they contract, clinging tightly to what they have, delaying all of their plans to grow, invest, and to take a chance on themselves and their dreams. This pattern, procrastination dressed up as preparation, quietly chains people to a life of worry, scarcity, and fear. When life expands, they take premature risks, spend freely, and accumulate debt and possessions that add little or no value to their lives. When opportunity knocks on their door, they're either hiding under the bed or out chasing the latest distraction, the new online business scheme, house flipping, Bitcoin, stock trading, Forex, social media content creation, or network marketing. We call these by different names, but they're both manifestations of the sin of greed. One compels you to tighten your fist around things you fear to lose. The other compels you to chase distractions disguised as opportunities. Both reinforce the beliefs, identities, and habits that cause them in the first place. This cycle only ends when you refuse the Matrix's script that tells you to expand or contract only when the outside world moves first. Your divine guardian does this, not by striving to change the outside, but by aligning you internally with the principle of rhythm. This is not a sudden decision or a declaration posted on a social media meme. It is the natural result of practicing a ritual that involves 7 sacred steps. Step 1, fasting. Step 2, fixation. Step 3, breathwork. Step 4, prayer. Step 5, vision craft. Step 6, sound healing. Step 7, integration. This is how somatic axiology goes beyond fixing the old patterns and replaces them with new ones. You start by fasting from the impulse to contract or expand in reaction to external circumstances. You then redirect this energy through fixation on a higher source of power and wisdom. Through breath work, you disrupt the physiological loop that keeps your body rehearsing fear. Each intentional breath signals safety to your nervous system and establishes a slower, steadier rhythm from the inside out. Through prayer, you stop rehearsing fear, expose the lies that you believed in for the sake of safety, and replace them with beliefs and identities rooted in God's truth. Through vision craft, you map your commitment to the contract of currency onto real life, seeing in concrete images how your career and financial life look once you stop living by fear, hype, or urgency. Through sound healing, you stop letting chaos set the tone in your body. You use rhythm and frequency to steady your nervous system and let your new beliefs sink deeper than words alone ever could. And finally, through integration, you turn your new beliefs and identities into practical actions and habits. As you do this ritual and its daily practices, your external world slowly aligns with your internal world by attracting more peace and prosperity into your life. This internal integrity doesn't magically summon cash, but it does change how you earn, spend, and invest, and that's where sustainable abundance is born. This is more profound, practical, and effective than the rubber chicken practice called the law of attraction. Thoughts do not become things on their own. They germinate, grow, and yield fruit by the same laws that cause seeds to turn into seedlings that eventually produce crops. Money does not respond to magical thinking, imagination, or even faith. These practices can plant the seeds. But money is an energy that represents human effort. The rubber chicken gurus in the law of attraction world teach us that like attracts like, but the laws of physics prove the exact opposite. Attraction lives in polarity, in the dance between rest and action, giving and receiving, not in doubling down on the same energy. Hustle and effort cannot attract or even hold on to an energy that represents the same thing. And the rhythm between hustle and rest, striving and surrender, is the space into which the currency of money freely flows. The more effort you put into chasing or clinging to it, the less of it you will have. When you take two ends of a magnet that represent the same energy, they repel. Do the same with the opposite ends of a magnet, and they attract. Vision boards, mindfulness, and other reflective practices have their place, but prosperity is never born from reflection alone. The name it and claim it, and the believe it and you'll manifest it, teachings are doctrines of devils pushed by Christian prosperity preachers and by New Age gurus. They train you to deny your current experience financially, emotionally, spiritually, and to substitute positive language for real repentance and change. They skip the crucial step of integration, denying their agreement to live by the sacred contracts of incarnation, the contracts of space, money, time, relationships, food, talent, energy. Without integration, these practices are mere spiritual tourism. Spiritual tourists pin pictures of their dream homes to vision boards and visualize sacred sanctuaries during guided meditations. Yet many of them live in disorganized spaces, letting clutter pile up, avoiding their duty to show proactive gratitude for what they already have. They chant affirmations about wealth and journal about financial freedom, but ignore their actual bank balance, overspend emotionally, avoid budgeting, and let overdue bills accumulate, using abundance mindset as a shield for avoidance. They script perfect days on paper, then lose them to distraction, proving but often ignoring that structure without follow-through is just another fantasy. They take psychedelic journeys seeking oneness or to connect from afar with their twin flame or soulmate. Yet they stay in draining friendships, dodge hard conversations, and refuse to confront codependency or avoidance. They rationalize the absence of intimacy in their life by preaching doctrines of self-love, often while denying their natural and healthy longing for companionship. They envision a vibrant, healthy body during breath work or meditation sessions, but binge in private on processed foods, eat emotionally, and spiritualize their health habits by denying that their body is as sacred as the spirit that lives in it. They dream of best-selling books or six-figure businesses while microdosing for creative flow and watching motivational content, yet avoid the hard, boring labor of creation, critique, and iteration. They chase alignment through retreats, somatic workshops, or crystal rituals while neglecting proper health routines, overcommitting and repressing anger or grief, mistaking temporary high-vibe states for true nervous system regulation. This is how proponents of manifestation and the laws of attraction defy the very laws they claim to believe in through their spiritual bypassing and flowery language. They aren't outsmarting natural law. They're colliding with it and mistaking the wreckage for fate. This dogmatic denial of the 7 contracts of incarnation cripples those who have embraced the New Age practices of spirituality, while scoffing at people who embrace orthodox religions. But dogma is dogma regardless of its origin. If you're reading this and feel a flicker of anger at me for calling out these behaviors because you have fallen into this trap, don't shrink from that feeling. That twinge of guilt is your higher self telling you that you incarnated here not to live as a spiritual tourist, but as a steward of the sacred contracts that your soul bound itself to. Guilt, when responded to with a decision to show up for yourself, quickly transmutes into clarity, courage, and authentic growth. The real laws of attraction will work whether you believe in them or not. You don't need to believe in lift to board a plane and fly, and you don't need to believe in natural law for it to shape your outcomes. Belief helps you stay consistent, but belief alone doesn't bend reality. Law does. And without alignment with law, manifestation techniques are mere hallucinations and self-deceptions. This is how most spiritual people become mere tourists, trapped in a cycle of wishful thinking and self-deception. That cycle leads straight into the breakdown loops of the dark masculine and the dark feminine, the very distortions that feed mammon. Both these manifestations of the insecure self are driven by the impulse to get before giving, which is the doorway to debt, and to collect without creating, which is the doorway to deceit. The 7-step ritual of the divine guardian uses somatic axiology to turn your awareness away from mammon's reactive cycle of contraction and overextension. This is how you claim your divine right to security and prosperity, not by hoarding or holding, not by chasing opportunity, but by honoring your sacred contract with the energy that we call money. This starts with fasting, not just from food, but from the things that have been eating away at your security with invisible teeth. Ritual Step 1. Fasting to starve out mammon. For the secure self, fasting goes beyond abstaining from food. It is the sacred act of starving the voices that have been feeding on your peace. It is the discipline of silence in a world addicted to noise. Fasting is how you starve mammon, the impulse to clutch and chase, and reclaim authorship over your movement. This is exorcism by starvation, not spectacle. The aim here is chastity of movement. You stop reacting to expansion and contraction outside of you so your actions arise from rhythm within you. The ancients treated fasting as consecration, not punishment. Moses fasted before receiving the law. Elijah fasted before the quiet voice on the mountain. Christ fasted before confronting the tempter. Early Christians fasted before great decisions to clear interference. Stoics practiced voluntary abstinence to loosen dependence on comfort. Yogic and Ayurvedic disciplines use short fasts to clear stagnation and restore balance. In every case, fasting reset attention and restored inner governance. Modern research mirrors this wisdom. For many people, a 72-hour fast can initiate cellular autophagy, cleanup of damaged cells, improve insulin sensitivity, lower inflammatory markers, and help recalibrate cortisol. The brain upregulates BDNF, supporting focus and mood stability, while dopamine sensitivity resets so simple rewards register again. In plain terms, the body remembers a natural cadence when you stop scattering energy. Your assignment is simple and exact, a full 72 hours. Drink water and take electrolytes to prevent dehydration. When you fast, insulin drops and your kidneys flush sodium and water. So electrolytes, especially sodium plus potassium and magnesium, help you maintain blood volume and keep your nerves and muscles steady. Drink unsweetened tea or black coffee only if you need it. If you choose either, keep it minimal. Use phone or computer screens only for essential responsibilities. Don't graze on media. Don't stack caffeine, spike sugar, or reach for novelty snacks to take the edge off. Don't compulsively check numbers, messages, or mirrors. Don't make new plans, shop, or sprint into performative productivity. Also, don't contract into panic. Don't hoard, catastrophize, or even go on a mass purge. That is, throwing things out, deleting apps, accounts, or contacts, etc. Occupy your energy with things that distract you from your past. Walk, keep things tidy. Do the work that must be done, and nothing more. If you have genuine medical constraints, adapt the fast rather than abandoning the practice. This is a ritual of governance, not self-harm. When life contracts, most people contract everything: action, generosity, learning, and hide. When life expands, most people expand indiscriminately: spending, chasing, scattering. Both are forms of greed. One clings, the other chases. The divine guardian does the opposite. In contraction, it conserves waste and sows: skills, assets, relationships, order. In expansion, it harvests and consolidates, fulfills, prunes excess, pays down obligations, focuses throughput. This 72-hour fast is training for that polarity. You are stepping out of the crowd's reflex and letting rhythm set tempo. Expect restlessness. Expect the urge to fill the silence. Let it pass without commentary. The goal is not heroics, but steadiness. Eat nothing. Drink water. Keep your environment orderly and quiet. If you must engage socially, be brief and honest without announcing your fast. Sleep early. Keep your language plain and factual. Avoid dramatizing lack, rush, or overwhelm. If you need a task, choose one. Clear a single surface, reconcile one loose end, or complete one already promised deliverable. Then stop. Journal during this fast, briefly and without self-editing. Ask your secure self to reveal what Mammon is feeding on by investigating the emotions that drive insecurity. For shame, ask, What am I afraid someone will discover about me? For guilt, ask, what do I believe I still owe? An apology, a repair, or a follow-through. For apathy, ask, where have I gone numb or stopped caring, and when did that start? Name your answers without explanation. Seeing them is enough for now. You will know the fast is working when stillness stops feeling empty and starts feeling peaceful. The compulsion to check, prove, or perform loses force. Your choices will get simpler. You will see what must be done and what can wait. These are signs that you are clearing the energy Mammon feeds on. When the 72 hours end, re-enter gently. Clean water, a simple small meal. Taste it. Resume normal duties without overcorrecting. No reward feasts. No penance workouts. The point is not deprivation, but governance. Mammon feeds on scarcity and urgency. Fasting from these emotions starves him. You are practicing the principle of rhythm by refusing to let external contractions or expansions dictate your pace. In contraction, you learn to expand in faith and sow. In expansion, you practice contracting and focus and consolidation. This is how prosperity and peace become external results, produced by internal transformation. Step 2. Fixation to invoke Archangel Chamuel. Fasting cleared the noise and created space. The second step, fixation, fills the space with an ordered energy. Sacred traditions describe this energy as a divine governing presence that steadies your inner world. This is what I mean by invoking Archangel Chamuel, the divine steward of God's charity. Archangels are not the winged, anthropomorphic beings we see depicted in religious art and literature. The ancients understood demons and angels alike as disembodied energy forms. These energetic patterns give rise to thought patterns and emotional states that can be measured using biofeedback equipment. Randomized studies in patients with stage B heart failure found that a brief gratitude journaling practice was associated with changes in heart rate variability and inflammatory biomarkers, Redwine et al. 2016. Experiments in longitudinal work also suggest that pro-social giving lowers blood pressure, Willens et al. 2016, and that sustained volunteering is associated with a reduced risk of developing hypertension over time, Burr et al. 2011, Sneed and Cohen 2013. Positive emotion cultivation has likewise been linked to increases in cardiac vagal tone, often used as a marker of parasympathetic regulation and stress resilience, Koch et al., 2013. This is the scientific interpretation of the effect charity has on your mind and body. Whether you approach this step from a spiritual, religious, or scientific perspective is not important. The effect will be the same regardless. As a Christian, I pray and invoke only by the Holy Spirit of Jesus Christ, under the conviction that Jesus is the one mediator between me and God. That's my personal choice, and I'll share my story as to why later in this book. Regardless of the language you use, the effects of this step on your mind, body, and spirit, and the presence invoked will be the same. Archangel Chamuel governs the current of God's charity, the counter-state to Mammon's greed, urgency, and future hoarding. Where Mammon trains the nervous system to clutch and chase, charity restores circulation with gratitude, generosity, and sacred stewardship. Living in a spirit of charity gives you the capacity to stay grounded when the world pushes you towards scarcity and panic. Fixation is the practice of resting your awareness on one point, internal or external. Fasting created quiet space. Fixation fills that space with the presence of charity, the virtue of Archangel Chamuel as God's divine counter to Mammon's sin of greed. You are not trying to figure anything out during this step. You are not trying to change your breath or force an experience. You are giving your secure self a solid place to stand. You can fix on a point in your body, or if that feels too difficult at first, on a simple point in the external world. A point in your body is best because that is where your secure self lives, but you are allowed to start where it feels possible. As you do this, imagine your divine guardian standing with you, and Archangel Chamuel, steward of charity and governor of your secure self, watching over the space you choose. You do not have to feel anything special. Their presence is an agreement, not a sensation. You are making a contract with attention, choosing what occupies the temple when the noise is gone. Here's the practice. Sit or stand in a way that feels steady. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath do whatever it is already doing. Choose one point. If you choose a point in your body, it might be the ball of your left foot, the weight of your bones as you are sitting, the feeling of your hand resting on your chest or belly. If you choose a point in the external world, it might be a spot on the wall, the edge of a book, the flame of a candle. Pick one. Do not keep switching. Fixation is about staying. If you wish, you can whisper a simple line as you begin. Shamuel, stand with me as I return my attention to this one point. Help me stay. Now let your awareness rest on that point, not the idea of it, the feeling or the simple seeing of it. When your mind wanders, notice that it wandered, and gently bring your attention back to the point. That is the whole practice. You do not need to scold yourself, explain anything, or make it mean anything. Every return is a success. Every return is you choosing your secure self again. Hold fixation without labeling or interpreting the thing you're fixated on. If you notice yourself thinking, I'm bad at this is boring, or nothing is happening, treat those thoughts as more places your attention is trying to run to. See them. Let them pass. Come back. At first this may feel hard. That is normal. Your mind has spent years being trained to scatter. Fixation will get easier as you continue the ritual. Later practices will give your mind something more structured to do. For now, it is enough to keep returning to this one point. Set a timer for 2 or 3 minutes the first time you do this. When that begins to feel easier, extend it to 5 minutes. You can practice fixation during fasting or at any time you feel scattered, rushed, or pulled in many directions. When fixation starts to work, the shift will be small at first. You will feel settled, still, and calm. Stillness begins to feel less like emptiness and more like somewhere you can actually be. When that happens, even a little, you are reclaiming your rhythm from mammon and giving your secure self a place to embody. Step 3, breathwork to awaken your secure self. Fasting cleared the noise and created space. Fixation filled that space with presence. This third step, breathwork, consciously connects your mind and body. You are not trying to force relaxation or chase a mystical state. You are teaching your nervous system a new tempo, steady even and trustworthy. This is how your secure self becomes the pace setter instead of being hijacked by urgency or old survival habits. Start by taking a moment to notice the point you used in fixation, or choose a simple point now. A foot on the floor, the weight of your hips on the chair, or your hand on your chest. You do not have to stare at it or think about it, just let yourself remember, I have a place to stand. Then let your attention include your breath. You will use 2 simple breathwork patterns here. 1, square breath, masculine grounding, calls your power back and looks like this. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds or 4 counts. Hold your breath at the top for 4 seconds or 4 counts. Exhale through your nose for 4 seconds or 4 counts. Hold your breath at the bottom for 4 seconds or 4 counts. Keep the count steady and unhurried. If 4 seconds or 4 counts feels easy, you may rise to 5 or 6 on each side, as long as it stays comfortable. If at any point you feel dizzy or strained, shorten the holds or return to simple in and out breathing without holds. Continue this pattern for about 2 to 3 minutes. Feel how the equal lengths and light pauses create a sense of order. Your breath moves like a square. In, pause, out, pause. With each round, you are telling your body, there is time, there is space, nothing is chasing you. 2. Circle breath, feminine releasing, soothes and calms you and looks like this. Inhale through your nose for 5 seconds or 5 counts. Exhale through your nose for 5 seconds or 5 counts. Do not hold your breath at the top or bottom. Let it flow in a circle. Stay with this circular breathing for 5 to 10 minutes. Let your belly rise and fall. Let the breath reach low into your body as if it were flowing all the way down into your legs and feet. If your mind wanders, notice that it wandered and gently return to the feeling of air moving in and out. You do not need to synchronize this with any special thought or image yet. The breath itself is the practice. Each even inhale clears a little more of the old emergency. Each even exhale signals safety. Over time, this simple pattern trains your heart and lungs to move together in coherence. Your system learns that calm is not an accident, it is a pattern you can return to. You may feel restless at first. You may catch yourself trying to rush the counts, hold your breath longer than is comfortable, or drift back into shallow chest breathing. That is normal. When you notice it, pause and begin the pattern again from wherever you are. Every time you return, you are strengthening your secure self. You can use this breath work during fasting, after fixation, or on its own whenever you feel scattered or tense. If you practice it after fixation, you may find it helpful to briefly feel your fixation point at the start of each session, then let the breath and that point share your attention. The sign that it is working is simple. Your body feels a little heavier in a good way, your thoughts slow down just enough to be observed, and stillness feels slightly more livable than it did before. You are not trying to escape your life. You are teaching your body that it is safe to live inside it. With each round of square breathing and each gentle circle that follows, you are awakening your secure self and letting it set the rhythm by which the rest of you moves. Step 4. Prayer to transfigure your secure self. Fasting cleared the noise and created space. Fixation filled that space with presence. Breathwork consciously connected your mind and body. This 4th step, prayer, retrieves and retrains the beliefs and identities associated with your need for security. Security, not control or certainty but an embodied sense of steadiness, is the need that drives your secure self. Your insecure self relies on strategies that either create a false sense of security or meet the need at the expense of one of your other needs. Prayer reveals these old patterns clearly and replaces them with patterns rooted in presence, rhythm, and authorship. You will achieve this through 2 rituals, one to retrieve the old patterns and another to retrain your new ones. The retrieval ritual is where you identify the exact security model your nervous system is running and put it into plain language so it can be seen instead of obeyed. The retraining ritual is where you keep the old model acknowledged, then practice a new one using a 3-part script paired with breath, so the new model becomes your default through repetition. In Chapter 4, we discussed why positive affirmations fail. They try to paint a new statement over an old identity without ever acknowledging what your nervous system is actually defending. We don't just believe things about security, we unconsciously live inside a cognitive metaphor for security, and you can hear it in someone's speech. One of the most disempowering metaphors for security is the belief that safety equals security. It turns security into a place you must reach or a condition you must maintain. But security is what meets the need for safety, not the other way around. For example, if someone's metaphor for security is control, they say things like, "If I don't handle it, it'll fall apart. I can't let go. I have to stay on top of everything." And their body produces the matching feelings: tension, urgency, over-responsibility. If someone's metaphor for security is certainty, they say, "I just need to know what's going to happen. I can't relax until I have a plan. What if something goes wrong?" And the feeling downstream is anxiety that doesn't shut off. If someone's metaphor for security is approval, they say, "Are you mad at me? I don't want to upset anyone. I need them to be okay." And their nervous system treats disapproval like danger. If someone's metaphor for security is a space, they say, once I get through this, then I can breathe. I just need to get to the weekend. When things calm down, I'll rest. And their body postpones regulation into a future that never arrives. The point is simple. These spoken phrases aren't the root. They're the surface language produced by the deeper metaphor. Beliefs and feelings form underneath that metaphor automatically, and behavior follows. Listen for the most common models people have of security, which include security comes from control, security comes from certainty, security comes from approval, security comes from usefulness, security comes from invisibility, security comes from perfection, security comes from proximity, security comes from money, security comes from vigilance, security comes from reaching a safe place before you can relax. Do not analyze these yet. Simply notice which one your body defaults to. If one phrase makes your chest tighten, circle it. If two apply, circle both. This is the old model we will retrieve in the first ritual and retrain in the second. If you try to speak or embrace a new model while the old security model is still in place, the two collide inside your body and create a feeling of unease or impostorship. One part of you says, "This is who I am now." Another part says, "No, this is how we stay alive." The result is an inner fight you can only sustain by sheer willpower, and willpower always runs out. Identity scripts work because they don't argue with the old model. They name it, honor what it was trying to do, and then retrain it into a better one. Prayer in this step follows that same pattern. Prayer in your retrieval ritual. Sit in stillness. Let your awareness rest on the point you used for fixation. Let a few rounds of circle breath soften your edges. Then bring to mind a situation where you feel least safe or most over-responsible, where your body tightens and you feel like you have no real choice but to react in a familiar way. As you hold that kind of moment in awareness, ask one question, not to your thinking mind, but to the part of your body that tightens when you feel unsafe. What did I learn I had to do in order to stay safe in moments like this? Do not search for an answer. Let your body tell the truth your mind has been rationalizing. Then ask a second question. What do I believe will happen if I don't do that? This is where the deeper script usually shows itself. And now ask one more and keep it simple. What model of security is my body living inside right now? Control, certainty, approval, usefulness, invisibility, perfection, proximity, money, vigilance, or a place. Do not try to get it right. Name the one that feels true in your nervous system. The first answer often sounds noble or reasonable. The second reveals the threat your nervous system still believes it is avoiding. Listen for short confessions. They may sound like, if I slow down, something bad will happen. If I don't handle everything, I'll be abandoned. If I'm not useful, I'm not wanted. If I rest, I'll lose everything. If I take up space, I'll be punished. These are somatic memories, your nervous system's childhood logic. They are not your higher self speaking. They're survival scripts that once helped you get through unsafe conditions. Speak the confessions aloud or write them down. Keep them simple, one sentence each. Do not edit, interpret, or argue with them. Then, on a new line, write the model plainly. Security comes from, followed by a clear and brief description of your old model, that is, security, control, certainty, approval, etc. This is not philosophy. This is the operating definition your nervous system has been obeying. If your line sounds like a location or a condition, once I get through this, once things calm down, once I'm in a safe place, notice the spell. You are treating safety as security. Your secure self is telling the truth about how it has been trying to keep you safe. Then ask a third question. Where in my body does this belief about security as safety live? Place your attention there. Breathe gently. Let the old pattern fully surface. This is the excavation, bringing the hidden foundation of the insecure self into the light. As you do this, expect emotion to rise. Your old identity will fight for its life. It may show up as grief for the part of you that has lived this way for so long, shame about wanting something different, guilt for the years you lost to the old pattern, or resentment toward yourself or others for how it all began. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is simply the alarm. These 4 guard dog emotions are the gremlins in your nervous system, like an autoimmune response that attacks the body it is meant to protect. You do not have to silence fear. You only have to notice that they are defending a pattern that no longer serves your need for security. Prayer in your retraining ritual. Once the confession is seen, spoken, or written, the space must be filled, not with fantasy, not with dramatic affirmations, but with a new security pattern anchored in breath, truth, and identity. Here's the pivot. We are not only changing what you say about security, we are retraining the model of security your nervous system has been living inside. This is where prayer becomes an identity script. Use this 3-part structure. First, acknowledge your old model for security with a statement like this: I once lived as if security, followed by a statement acknowledging your old model for security. Second, follow this acknowledgement with a declaration of your new model for security with a statement like this: Now I define security as, followed by a clear statement of your new model for security. Finally, anchor your new truth to an identity, action, and benefit. So today, I choose to, followed by a statement of a simple action you'll take every day to reinforce the new model. Example: I once lived as if security came from speed and control, as if slowing down meant danger. Now I relate to security as an embodied sense of stability, which I can hold internally regardless of external or imagined circumstances. My breath regulates my inner climate and rhythm brings me home. So today, I choose to create security within myself through this divine ritual to awaken my divine guardian. Notice that this does not deny or erase the old belief. It names it, honors the role it played, and then assigns a higher truth and a new behavior. You are not pretending you never thought this way. You are continuing the story with a different main character, your secure self under the care of your divine guardian. Now speak your new script aloud for 3 slow breaths. Inhale as you remember the new truth. Exhale as you release the old reflex. Let your breath carry the new script into your body. This is how you retrain your nervous system, not through pressure, but through patterned presence. Each time you repeat a script like this, you give your system a new reference point. Over time, your default mode network and your body's emotional reflexes begin to defend the new identity instead of the old one. End this part of your ritual by placing your awareness on your fixation point again. Feel your body's weight. Let the square breath pattern close your prayer with structure and steadiness. This is how your secure self begins to transfigure, by clearing the old security strategy through honest retrieval and excavation, and by installing a new one through intentional, breath-carried identity. This is how you transfigure your insecure self into your divine guardian. Step 5. Vision craft to align your divine guardian. Fasting cleared the noise and created space. Fixation filled that space with presence. Breathwork consciously connected your mind and body. Prayer retrieved and retrained the metaphors tied to your need for security. This 5th step vision craft gives your secure self an identity that aligns with the divine principle of rhythm. You are not scripting outcomes or forcing a specific future in this step. You are letting your imagination rehearse what it feels like to live as someone who moves with rhythm, expanding when life contracts and contracting when life expands, so your sense of security comes from within instead of from control. Vision craft is spiritual play. It is not about realism. It is about giving your nervous system a vivid picture of your divine guardian in motion, steady, grounded, generous, and prepared. The form doesn't matter. Protector, healer, sentinel, steward, warrior, shepherd, or a future you who can hold stillness without fear. The function does. This self moves with charity instead of greed. Begin as you have learned. Find a comfortable position. Feel your fixation point, the weight of your hips on the chair, your feet on the floor, or your hand resting on your chest. Take a minute or two of circle breath until you feel more settled. Now let the image of your divine guardian appear. It may come quietly at first, a posture, a silhouette, a color, or it may appear fully formed, armor, clothing, environment, stance. Trust what comes. This is your secure self exploring the identity of your divine guardian. Once the figure appears, notice how they stand, how they breathe, how they hold their center. Let yourself feel, even slightly, what it is like to be inside that steadiness. Now bring in the principle of rhythm through two simple scenes. Scene 1. When life contracts, you expand. Imagine a moment where your world tightens, pressure rising, resources shrinking, movement slowing down around you. This can be symbolic or literal. A winter landscape stripped of color, a marketplace emptying out, a storm pulling people inside, a closing door, an ending, a loss, a season where money, energy, or support feels thin. Everything in the scene is narrowing. Notice what your divine guardian does. They do not grasp, they do not panic, they do not shrink, they expand, charity widening where fear would tighten. You might see yourself standing taller as the world grows smaller, breathing more deeply as others hold their breath, stepping forward calmly instead of freezing, offering presence, not panic, planting, building, tending, or preparing. Let the scene unfold. Feel how expansion does not mean overgiving or self-sacrifice. It means trusting your inner rhythm. This is a season to root, to sow, to strengthen foundations. Where do you feel that in your body? Let your breath match the guardian's breath. Scene 2. When life expands, you contract. Now shift to a moment where life grows fast, opportunity rising, attention increasing, doors opening quickly. This could look like a harvest overflowing, a city filling with color and sound, a room brightening all at once, money, invitations, or energy coming in, a season of abundance, attention, or busyness. Everything in the scene is widening. Notice what your divine guardian does. They do not inflate, they do not chase, they do not spill over. They contract, not in fear, but in stewardship. You might see yourself slowing your steps as the world speeds up, gathering resources instead of scattering them, saying no to what is excess, storing, sorting, organizing, grounding, keeping rhythm when others burn out. Let the scene unfold. Feel how contraction is not withdrawal. It is wisdom. This is a season to consolidate, to rest, to prepare for the next cycle. Where do you feel that grounding? Let your breath match the guardian's breath. If resistance appears, fear of loss, guilt for resting, shame about needing support, frustration, old urgency, or the voice that says, you don't get to slow down, do not fight it. Give it a shape if you like, a shadow at the edge of the field, a trembling child, a worried advisor, an old habit standing in the doorway. Acknowledge it. Then return to your divine guardian and notice how they keep moving with rhythm instead of insecurity. Stay with these two scenes, life contracting and life expanding, for 5 to 10 minutes. You may see many worlds over time: winter, summer, cities, mountains, seasons of work, seasons of rest. Good. You are not creating one identity. You are learning a pattern that says, when life contracts, I expand. When life expands, I contract. Close your vision craft by letting the image of your divine guardian step into you and you into them. Imagine sharing a spine, a breath, a pulse. You might quietly say, I carry this rhythm. I am safe to move with it. My security moves with me. Then open your eyes, feel your fixation point once more, and notice even the smallest shift, a deeper breath, a steadier body, a clearer sense of possibility. You do not have to believe every part of the vision. Your task is to breathe and rehearse who you are becoming. Over time, your secure self will recognize this guardian not as fantasy, but as a familiar role you can embody whether life contracts or expands. This is visioncraft, aligning your inner imagery with the principle of rhythm so your need for security is met from the inside out. Step 6. Sound healing to quicken your divine guardian. Fasting cleared the noise and created space. Fixation filled that space with presence. Breathwork consciously connected your mind and body. Prayer retrieved and retrained the metaphors tied to your need for security. Visioncraft gave your secure self an identity aligned with the principle of rhythm. This 6th step, sound healing, quickens that identity within your body. This is how you tune your physical instrument so it can actually hold the signal of your divine guardian. You are not trying to create a spiritual high here. You are teaching your nervous system what grounded rhythmic safety feels like so your new identity has a stable home. Sound is one of our most ancient and intuitive healing tools. It bypasses cognition and drops directly into your tissues, breath, and bones. When paired with simple grounded movement, sound becomes a tuning fork that recalibrates your entire system. For the secure self, sound must be low, slow, and rooting. This is not the moment for ecstatic expansion or upper chakra flight. This is the moment for containment, for feeling heavy in a good way, for letting your body know you are safe enough to hold this new rhythm. Begin with low-frequency toning. Choose a deep vowel sound like lamb or loom. Let the tone originate in your lower belly rather than your throat. Sit or stand tall, relax your jaw, and inhale gently through your nose. On the exhale, sustain lamb or loom for 5 to 10 seconds. Feel the vibration traveling down your spine, into your pelvis, legs, and feet. You're not trying to sound pretty. You're trying to sound rooted. Let the tone be rich, imperfect, and full. After several rounds of toning, shift into gentle humming with your lips closed. Let the resonance fill your sinuses, cheekbones, and skull. Aim the vibration into your face as if you're massaging your bones from the inside out. Keep your breath slow and steady. This embodied vibration tells your nervous system you are safe to be here. Low tones stimulate the vagus nerve through vocal resonance. Humming boosts nitric oxide and eases amygdala reactivity, and rhythmic sound nudges your system toward a parasympathetic state. In simple terms, your body hears these sounds as a signal that the emergency is over. To deepen the effect, pair your sound with slow, symmetrical movement. Think in terms of heavy, grounded motions rather than fast or flashy ones. Examples: earth walks, slow, barefoot steps with conscious heel-to-toe contact. Deep body weight squats, moving only as low as feels stable, inhaling on the way down, exhaling and humming on the way up. Forward folds, hinging at the hips, letting your upper body hang, humming as you slowly roll back up. These patterns wake up the muscles that keep you upright and rooted. They send proprioceptive signals through your joints and fascia that say, "We have weight, we have structure, we are supported." You're not just giving your body an idea of safety, you're giving it a felt experience of safety. If you're musically inclined, the secure self resonates beautifully with the Ionian mode, also known as the major scale. This tonal structure is stable, uplifting, and harmonically coherent without being overstimulating. It has long been used to signal clarity, containment, and warmth. The Ionian mode doesn't spike you into ecstasy or drown you in melancholy. It invites coherence. It feels like home. Here are some examples of songs in the Ionian mode. Do Re Mi, the sound of music. Imagine, John Lennon. Ode to Joy, Beethoven. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, traditional. Happy Birthday, traditional. Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Judy Garland. Hey Jude, the Beatles. Here Comes the Sun, the Beatles. Walking on Sunshine, Katrina and the Waves. Don't Stop Believin', Journey. Create a playlist of these songs and others in the Ionian mode. Ask AI to find you more. Listen to these when you need to restore your sense of grounding and safety. You might also play one or two tracks quietly while you tone lamb or loom. Hum along to a simple melody after your identity script and vision craft. Put a single song on repeat while you do earth walks or slow squats. Even a simple triad in this mode, like do mi sol, can stabilize your frequency and reinforce somatic rhythm. When you complete your sound healing session, curl gently into a fetal position and rest for 1 to 2 minutes. Feel gravity holding you like a mother cradling her child. Let your breath return to its natural pace. Let the vibrations settle. Notice how your body feels heavier, quieter, and more willing to stay. This is how your secure self becomes a stable foundation for your other selves. Grounding your core frequency restores balance across your inner ecosystem. Sound can feel good, and that's welcome. But feeling good is not the only aim. The goal is to bring the secure self and divine guardian online in the context of real experience. Many seekers confuse sensation with transformation. Pleasure without structure is just another high. The secure self doesn't chase frequency spikes. It holds tone. The more anchored your frequency, the less hijackable your state. This is the pivot from resonance to embodiment, from internal coherence to external congruence. In the next and final step, you'll complete the circuit through embodied action. For now, let sound do what it has always done for the human soul. Remind your body that it is safe to stay, and give your divine guardian a rhythm it can live in. Step 7. Integration to honor your contract with currency. Fasting cleared the noise and created space. Fixation filled that space with presence. Breathwork consciously connected your mind and body. Prayer retrieved and retrained the metaphors tied to your need for security. Visioncraft gave your secure self an identity aligned with the principle of rhythm. Sound healing quickened that identity within your body, and this final step, integration, turns your new identity into actions that align with the divine principle of rhythm and creates external security in your life. Everything you have done in this ritual so far has prepared you for this step. Integration is not about achieving goals or optimizing your life. It is about honoring your contract with currency, the sacred agreement to spend your time, energy, attention, and money in a way that creates external security. Integration is not about controlling outcomes. It's about forming habits that keep your divine guardian active. This is the missing ingredient in most spiritual practices, which teach you that thoughts and feelings manifest results. Thoughts and feelings may generate signal, but action moves mass. Action tells the world and your nervous system who you are becoming. Currency has two forms, energy and money. You are always spending one or both of these. Every hour, every breath, every decision is an investment. Before this ritual, your insecure self spent energy and money in ways that attempted to buy safety, overworking, overthinking, people-pleasing, avoiding, clinging, collapsing, chasing. Those actions were not failures. They were survival. But your secure self does not spend to survive. It spends to steward and to grow. Integration means that every small action you take is chosen, not inherited, designed, not compelled, grounded in rhythm, not panic. This is not about achieving goals. Focusing on goals only creates attachment, worry, and fear. Goals live in the external world, the world of effects. They are useful but fragile. They depend on circumstances you cannot always control. Habits live in the internal world, the world of causes. They shape identity. They rewire your nervous system. They create inevitability. When you build habits that support your sense of security, the goals take care of themselves. Even if a specific goal is delayed or changes shape, your habits continue generating stability, coherence, and abundance. This is the structural side of integration. Tiny, daily actions that slowly shift the whole direction of your life over time. But the deeper practice is what I call the trim tab habit, the habit of enjoying the process of forming habits themselves. When you fall in love with the process, rather than clinging to a specific outcome, you win even when a goal is delayed or changes. The habits remain. They keep compounding. They keep feeding your security. Over time, this makes meaningful outcomes practically inevitable, even if they arrive by a different path than you expected. Your actions must be small enough to do every day, strategic enough to create compounding results, embodied enough to become habits. Think in 5 domains when defining your actions. Money, one small act of stewardship each day. Checking your balance without judgment, saving $5, organizing receipts. Space, 5 minutes of clearing a surface, making your bed, or restoring order. Body, 1 breath practice, a short walk, stretching, hydration. Relationships, 1 message of gratitude, 1 healthy boundary, 1 honest conversation. Rhythm, 1 deliberate pause. 3 circle breaths before a task or a 1-minute check-in. Choose 1 habit from 1 domain to begin. Don't try to fix your whole life at once, just pick 1 and keep your rhythm. Remember also that a habit only becomes part of your identity when it is paired with a state. Do this before training each one of your habits. Find your fixation point. Take 3 rounds of square breath. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, at a pace that feels comfortable. Recall your vision of your divine guardian, even if only for a second. When finished, take 3 slow circle breaths. This sequence says to your nervous system, this action belongs to the secure self. This action creates security. As your new habits take root, your old identity will push back, not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are doing something new. Resistance appears in 4 forms. Shame, who do you think you are? Guilt, you don't deserve to feel this safe. Grief, mourning the identity you're outgrowing. Resentment toward yourself or others for the old patterns. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is a protector. But these 4 create the false signal that summons fear like an autoimmune response attacking the healthy cells of your body. You are not taking these actions and forming these habits to overcome or wipe out fear. You are doing this to stop the unnecessary alarms. When these emotions arise, do not override them and do not obey them. Acknowledge them. If the charge feels strong, let yourself take 3 to 5 gentle rounds of circle breath. In through the nose for 5 counts, out through the nose for 5 counts, imagining the tension loosening with each exhale, then return to your small action. Each time you do, you cast a vote for the secure self. If an old identity script surfaces like, if I don't control everything, I'll be abandoned, or I'm only safe when I disappear, treat that as a gift, capture it later in your journal, and walk it through your retraining ritual with a short statement like, I once believed security came from safety. Now I know that security is something I embody, so today I choose to embody it through my actions. In this way, your daily actions continue to reveal and rescript the deeper patterns that once drove you. Use 1 or 2 of these each day. Did this habit make my life feel more or less secure today? Did I act from fear or design? Where did my rhythm hold? Where did it wobble? What emotion tried to pull me back into my old script today? What tiny choice supported my identity as the divine guardian? These reflections turn experience into wisdom. They will expose your outdated security scripts so you can replace them with new beliefs, identities, actions, habits, and results. In time, your internal sense of security will begin to manifest in your external world and reinforce your new identity scripts. This is the ritual of somatic axiology and spiritual transfiguration. This is how your divine guardian comes fully online, stable in stillness, secure in action, anchored in heaven, grounded in earth, the foundation of your ensemble of authentic selves.
End of Chapter 5 of Awaken Your Shadow by Seth Cherepak.